What's up, y'all? This is Coach R. Anthony. In today's episode, we'll be talking about what is the purpose of the man. This is episode 16. Now, this is going to be a heavy topic, so lace up your boots and get ready for the Relationships and Chill podcast.
You're listening to Relationships and Chill, the podcast for singles and couples about how to find and cultivate the relationship you've always dreamed of, based on trust and honest communication. Why waste your time going through the typical dating obstacle course only to end up with drama, jealousy, and heartbreak, when you can find the love of your life and live happily ever after? So sit back, chill, and get ready to make relationships great again.
What's up, everyone? This is Coach R. Anthony, and today we'll be tackling a pretty interesting topic. This is episode 16 of the Relationships and Chill podcast. And I really haven't seen a lot of information about this particular topic that I'm going to be breaking down today. And it's just going to be me on this episode because I want to just deal directly with you guys, the listening audience, and this is going to be a very in-depth conversation. I'm going to do it from a biblical perspective. I'm going to do it straight from the Bible, and it's going to be very great because it took me many years to figure this stuff out and to learn how everything works to a certain degree, and I'm still learning, of course, but it has opened my eyes like none other before. And I've been over the years looking to see if anybody figured it out yet, and they really haven't figured this particular thing out yet. Nobody really talks about the purpose of a man, and I'm going to do this in 3 parts. I'm going to do the first part, the purpose of a man. The second part is going to be the purpose of a woman, and the third part is going to be the purpose of a relationship. So you definitely want to stay tuned to this podcast, the Relationships and Chill podcast, to make sure you stay on top of all of the episodes that we're going to be really breaking this down, because I believe that it will really change your perspective and change your relationships as a whole. We're going to be, let me just get this stuff out the way first, but we're going to be opening up the website pretty soon, and we're going to have coaching, we're going to have courses, we're going to have all these different things available to help people progress in their relationships and progress in their lives overall. So definitely I'll save that more information on that at the end, but just to give you guys a primer to let you guys know that we will be taking a more hands-on approach to helping people develop certain areas of your life through coaching, through courses, through books, and all these different things that we'll be working on in the near future. Now, for the topic at hand, what is the purpose of a man? What is the purpose of the man? Like I said, I'm going to be doing this from a biblical perspective, and I'm going to be showing you through the scriptures how the Creator designed and why he designed us to be here, especially as men. Now, I'm going to focus on all of it together overall, and you'll get the bigger picture as I go through the different segments and the different sections of why we're here. And so this is going to be a very deep, detailed conversation that I'm going to have with you guys. I don't want to keep it too long. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I do want to offer some amazing content that you guys have never heard before. And of course, I'm going to be giving you everything and all of the potential references that would be important so that you guys can look at it on your own. Now, I'm going to start off with just saying, from my perspective and from the things that I experienced when I didn't know this stuff, when I didn't really know what I'm about to tell you guys, it really caused me to look for things in my life that wasn't fulfilling, in the sense that without the purpose of something, without understanding the purpose, there will absolutely be dysfunction, there will be neglect, and there will be abuse. Those things are inevitable when you don't understand the purpose of something. When you don't understand the purpose of a shoe, you'll absolutely mess it up if you don't put it on your foot. If you put shoes on the wrong foot, you absolutely mess up the shoes. But when you put them on the right foot, and wear them like they're supposed to, they last longer. But when you don't do it properly, when you don't understand the purpose of something and you don't use the proper function that thing was designed to do, then you will absolutely cause it to not function to the best of its ability. And so for me, when I was a lot younger, I come from a church background, a Christian type background, and I grew up mostly with the church perspective and in church. But my family was a military family, so we moved around a lot, and we really didn't get to have a solid foundation and grow up around the same people and, have the same teachers. So we got a combination of things. And a lot of the times we went to places where there was no church, or, different things happened within the time that we were traveling as a military family. Now, as I got older and I did not understand purpose, and I did not understand design of not only things, but of myself, what started to happen is you create your own purpose. So my initial purpose was to have and sleep with as many women as possible, and to just be young, because that's what they told you should do. You should be young, you should have fun, you should go out, experience your life. Not the church, but I'm just saying the society at large tells you to go out and basically experience life, right? But that's kind of detrimental in the sense that in the long term, the things that you do when you're younger tend to create a cycle or cycles that propel you into a destination that you wasn't necessarily designed to be in. Because when you're young, you don't know as much, and there's really no leadership and no guidance to help you focus your growth into a destination that when you get older, you'll be able to really enjoy your life and look back over your life without having as many problems. You're going to have problems, but to look back over your life and have a streamline to where you are and not have as many problems to get there, and not as many health problems, not as many, because like when you're younger, you're just out there doing whatever. You got kids, and you start having kids, you start all these different things. A lot of the times prematurely. We have children. I was having a conversation with a young lady the other day, and she asked me about my wife and I, when are we going to have kids? Now, we get that question like a million times all the time. And we're in no rush to have children. I'm 36, she's 29. Neither one of us have kids. We're in no rush to have children because our focus has been on growing together and learning each other and developing our relationship, so that when we add a child to the relationship, it does not crack the foundation of the relationship. Because a lot of couples have relationships, and then when they add children or anything else, the stress and the obligations that come with that thing make the relationship falter, and they end up splitting apart. And we don't want that. So our focus has been on developing ourselves. Now, in this development of self, as I've been learning over the years and studying and having mentors and having people to teach me different things over the course of years, and having the revelations that the Most High has given me, I was able to see things the way that they truly are. And those things help to develop the relationship that my wife and I have to this point. Now, the problem I kept running into is because of the focus of trying to just sleep with as many women as possible. That became my purpose. That became the purpose, and that becomes the purpose of a lot of men that are out there. Their purpose is to sleep with as many women as possible. So with that, over time with men, and this is why the MGTOW thing is so big, so to speak, because these are the men that were seeking women or seeking sex or seeking these different things. Now you got two extreme. You got the alpha type of guys, the alpha male type of guys, and then you got like the MGTOW type of guys. Those are like two opposite ends of the spectrum. You got guys who sole purpose in life is to just get and sleep with as many women as possible. And then see, I was like in between both of those. I wanted to sleep with as many women as I could possibly sleep with, but at the same time develop myself and become better and become elevated in my growth. And obviously the elevation took over eventually, but that innate nature in humans is to procreate and reproduce. And I ain't gonna say the only way, but the main way to reproduce is to have sexual relations. So that becomes the purpose of a lot of men, is to have as many partners, as many women sexually as they possibly can, because without purpose being there that is greater than the urges that we have in the body, then the thing that we urge or desire physically will be the thing that we see, which is a beautiful woman, attractive women. That will be our purpose. Our purpose will be to sleep with as many women as we possibly can. Now, with that particular perspective for most men, what tends to happen is you waste so much time developing self to attain women or to obtain pleasurable moments with a woman, and that is very short-lived, because what's next after you have sex with her? What happens next? You got to find another one and another one and another one, and it becomes an addiction. It becomes your drug as a man. But at what point do you say, okay, I've had enough sex, it's not progressing me to anything, any destination that I desire to be? At what point do I say, the game is kind of rigged? It's kind of rigged in the sense that I can chase as many women, but the feeling and the urge to always need women will always be there. But guess what? Women are typically progress in life. They get houses, they get cars, they get all these different things, where men are going from woman to woman to woman to woman to woman, and they never really progress internally. Now, at a certain point, some men catch on and they say, you know what? I've been focusing in on this for too long. Let me try to focus in on myself. And if you can stay focused in on yourself and develop long enough, then you will absolutely get all those things and more, because what I'm about to get into is why men are designed the way that we are, but our focus is off. Our focus begins to be on the pleasurable side. And that's a whole nother realm of why we seek pleasure. That's just people in general. But I just want to keep it pretty light, but pretty deep in this particular realm. So our focus becomes how many, how fast, what's next? And then eventually, if a man really wakes up, he'll realize that the game is rigged. And then he begins to kind of start pivoting towards self and self-mastery and self-discipline and self-focus and self elevation, because we were designed for that. The scriptures say, if you read this day and night, you will make your way successful and prosperous, and you will have good success, because you are the one that has to place inside of yourself the things that are true, and you have to stay focused. And that's why the continuous studying and learning is important, more so important than just learning about something. But to dig deep into a subject is what we're kind of about to get into. So my experiences were just that. I pivoted, and now, my focus has been on developing myself and creating within myself the best myself to present. I always said when I was single, I'm going to be the best single man possible. I'm going to be single to the max. I'm going to maximize my singleness. And I did. I really did. I was out there in the streets heavy. Now, as I realized that the game was rigged against me, and that these entrapments that were trapping me to stay in that particular holding pattern of sex, tired, sex, tired, what's next? You know what I mean? Like, that perspective it really weighs on you over time, and you look back over your life and you realize, I have made no progress in my life. I am still where I was when I was 19. That's the horrible side. It's probably worse than any other drug, because at least with any other drug, it's just as bad as smoking crack, because at the end of the day, when you do anything like that, you have nothing to show for it. You know what I mean? But at least you can, at least at that point, everybody's saying you're a drug addict. But with sex, everybody's saying you're a player. You're cool. You get as many women as you could want. So it's really encouraging more of the same. Whereas with drug addictions, they don't encourage more of the same. They actually no, you should get yourself together. You need to get clean. Somebody around you is saying you need to get clean, but there was nobody around you when you getting a lot of women to tell you to stop getting a lot of women. There's nobody around you. It's really an internal thing that you have to turn off and turn on within yourself and start to realize. So on this man thing, I might do multiple parts on developing manhood. Actually, if you go onto my Instagram, I have another account that I really haven't touched as much yet. It's called Divine Manhood, at Divine Manhood on Instagram. And I'm going to really be delving into some things that I learned about manhood. Now, let's get into it. I know it's about 15 minutes in. I'm not going to keep this one too long. But I want to get into it. Why was man created? That's where you really have to start. You have to start with why man was created. And in Genesis chapter 2, I think, is where it starts to kind of open up the floor to help people understand why the man was designed, the purpose of a man. What was he put here to do? Now, in chapter 1, it says that the earth was without form and void. There was nothing on earth except for water. And he separated the water from the land, and there was dry land that appeared. Now, in chapter 2, when you get into that, I think around the verse 6, verse 5, where it starts talking about there was no herb or anything because the Most High had not caused it to rain. So there was nothing on earth. But here's the part that really opens up the idea of why we were created. So if you look at chapter 2, Genesis 2, chapter 5, it says that he had not caused it to rain, and there was no man to till the ground. So now verse 6 says a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. Now this is where man was created, but why was he created at that point? So, but if you go back and you start looking at the depths of chapter 1, and you'll start seeing the order of how things came to be. Now, of course, you got all these different theories and people theorizing man came from this and came from that and came from organisms and stuff like that. I personally believe I came from a creator because I create. Organisms don't really create the things that we're creating as humans. So I'm more similar to my parents than I am a dust, you know what I mean, like a piece of dust. I'm more similar to them because they do things that I do. I have certain characteristics and certain things that I do that is similar to the things that my parents do. Now, on the flip side, there is no organism that creates like we create. You cannot go back without finding something that is similar, in the sense that, okay, they find genetics and all that stuff, and that's cool. Everything shares the same genetics because we're on the same shared planet. So you got to have certain characteristics in order to survive in this particular planet and the sphere that we live on. Now, on the flip side, there are different structures and different reasons why things exist. The reason why we exist as humans is to have dominion, or meaning to manage this earth and to control this earth. But at the same time, we are designed to create and to fill this earth with different things that we can enjoy, that makes this place habitable, meaning it makes it livable for us and for other people. And it was designed to be our place where we can enjoy life. Now, don't ask me about other planets because I have no clue what goes on other planets, but I'm talking about strictly here where we are. We are allowed to create the things that make us enjoy this planet more. In the beginning, in chapter 1, there was nothing on this planet for enjoyment. There was nothing going on this earth. Now, as the creator saw it fit, he decided that, hey, I'm going to create something here. I'm going to do something on this particular planet. But I really can't do anything on this planet without someone there to manage the things that I create, and therefore take control of the things that I create to create even more. Because if I give somebody some money, if they're not good with money, I am going to lose that money. But if I give money to somebody who is good at money, if you invest in with an investor and you know they're good with money, you're going to let that money chill with them and you're going to go and do your thing. Now, when you come back, you expect that money to multiply because that person that is the investor has showed you the credentials and the results of someone who knows how to invest and get results from investment. So you give your money to them with the expectation that they're going to multiply or do better with what you gave them. So what the creator had in mind is, I'm going to design a person that has the equipment and has all the things that are necessary to be progressive and bring more out of what I've created. So I create money, I give it to an investor takes my money, takes my $1,000, and he brings me back $10,000. Okay, cool. You're doing a good job. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you more. I'm going to give you more because I know you're competent in what you're doing. All right. So, like I said, without man there was nothing producing. And because there would be no reason to produce anything without somebody there to manage what you produced. So in chapter 2, we see that he decided that, hey, there was nothing. It says before in verse 5, chapter 2, it says, before any plant of the field was in the earth. That means before anything had grew. And before any plant on the field was in the earth, and before any herb of the field had grown. So nothing had grown. And then it says there was no rain on the earth at that particular time. And there was no man to till it. So before anything had grown, there was no man there. Now, the very next thing tells you the mentality and the thinking of the creator. The creator's, and then it goes into, but a mist went up from, in verse 6, but a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. So, okay, now we got water there. We just don't have anything growing. But here's where man comes in at. Before anything had grown, there was nothing there. Only thing that was there was water that came up. And the reason why nothing was there is because there was no man. So there was no man to till the soil, to cultivate anything. So therefore, I have to create something that is able to manage and maintain what I'm about to create. Now, it says in verse 7, and the Lord formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Now, after that, he plants a garden in eastward in Eden. Now, that's even a whole deeper level of thinking, a whole different revelation that I'll have to give out later. But the purpose that in that particular verse, in those particular verses, you'll see that before anything was created and before anything was cultivated, there needed to be something there to maintain what was about to be created. Now, as things started to create, now we go back to chapter 1 and we start seeing now things are being created. So if you can read between the lines and you understand what I'm saying, you'll start seeing that realistically chapter 2 is the real beginning coupled with chapter 1. So I know this is pretty deep and pretty heavy, but over the course of these next few episodes, I'm going to be delving into more from this perspective on how we came to where we are. So, but we see so far that the man's purpose was, he was designed to create. He was designed to manage. He was designed to maintain the things that were about to be created. Now, as things became created, you'll start seeing when the woman appeared on the scene, he was already in purpose. He was already doing what he was designed to do. The first thing he did was worked the garden. Then he named the animals, and then he was put into a deep sleep. So the animals were created after the man was designed. The initial man was designed. Eve didn't come until after the animals. Now that's very important because the thing that I've learned through my life is that work is our main purpose. Creativity and to create is our purpose. Work is a portion of creativity. What work does is it pulls out of you the things that are deep inside of us. So if a man's not working, that's why the scripture says if a man don't work, then he don't eat. But man should not live off bread alone. Man shall live by the word of the Most High. So if you're not working, it's going to be hard to hear what the Most High is saying, what the Creator is saying within you and your internal design as a man. If you are not in tuned into your work, that's why the first thing that Adam did was work. The first thing that Adam was ever created to do was to work. That was the purpose of Adam. That was the purpose of man, to work the earth, to create from what has been created, to multiply, to grow what's been presented, what's been designed for these people that I'm putting here. That man was created to sustain and to grow and produce on what I have created and designed for this particular thing. Now, it says the earth was void and without form. And I notice that if I have things that are unused and I say, you know what, I'm going to do something with this jacket, I'm going to give it away. The first thing I do is wash it. I make sure that the person that is going to get it has a decent looking jacket. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to wash it. I'm going to make sure that the thing that I'm about to give away is presentable for the person, so they don't have to start from scratch. So I believe that the Most High, when he looked at the earth, he had man in mind already. He said, I'm going to use this one because it's perfectly designed for what I want to do. I'm going to make it habitable. I'm going to make it so that this particular creature that I'm about to create and the creatures that are going to be playing a part in maintaining the thing that I'm about to create, that they have the basic core of what they need. And even without them, this thing is going to exist and be nice even without them. But what they're going to be doing, the animals and the man and all these different insects and bugs and stuff like that, they're going to maintain this thing that I have created. So I'm about to create, well, it was already there, but I'm about to make it habitable. I'm about to make it usable. I'm about to make it, that's what the word void means. It means there was no use for it. So I'm about to make this thing that is void usable. I'm about to make it a way so that somebody can use it and be productive on this thing that I'm about to create. So with that in mind, it's very important that man is in his proper place, because if he's not in his proper place and he's not producing, then he becomes void also. He becomes useless. So it's important for a man to understand that the purpose that I've been designed with is unique. My work is going to be an extension of who I am designed and who I'm created to be. But without work is the key. Work is the gateway to purpose, because it is part of the purpose, but it unfolds the greater depth of who you are. It develops you to be a person that is known for this. That's why men work so much. But a lot of men just work just to work, but a lot of men work with a purpose. A lot of men work with this thing, but that was part of the original design. That was part of the original command. And when the woman was finally put there, he said, have dominion over everything, be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, take control. This is what you're designed to do. The problem is, we don't understand design. We don't understand the design of a man. The design for a man is not to just procreate. We focus on that one portion of what is actually there, but the design of a man is to procreate what you have already developed. So, with that being said, to the degree that you've developed internally yourself and the work that you've done and the things that you've produced is what you're going to reproduce. So if you're not producing anything of value, the children that you are going to reproduce are going to be further behind, because they're only an extension of who you are and who you've become to this particular point. That's why we don't have any kids, because we're still producing. We're still becoming better. We're still evolving into the best versions of ourselves. And as we do that, the children and our offspring are just a replica of where we are at that particular moment in our relationship, in our lives, and in our purpose. Because the closer we get and the offspring that we produce, the closer they'll be initially when they first come out, that they have purpose in mind. They have destiny in mind. So it's very important to understand that whatever you are is what you produce or reproduce. If you are skilled at the skill, then you will produce faster, you will produce better, you will produce at an amazing rate. But for the most part, you're still going to be developing. You're still going to be coming into a knowledge and a working understanding of who you are and who you're becoming. And who we are becoming is a lifelong process. It's a lifelong journey. But the ideology and the mentality that we have to keep in mind is to consistently produce the best that I can. Now, if you think about it like that, trees produce. Everything produces to the best of their ability. Grapes, everything that we digest, everything that we eat produces at the best level. It produces thousands. It doesn't just produce one. You plant one seed, you don't just get one grape back. You get thousands of grapes back. You get millions of grapes potentially if you keep replanting, you keep repurposing the thing that you initially placed into the ground. So it's very important to know, what are you placing out into the world? Because the thing that you're placing out into the world is what you will be known for, and that is who you are. Fundamentally, at this particular point in your life, what you're giving out is what is inside of you as a man. So it's very important to understand that the work is a very key component to understanding and developing who you are, because without the work, there is no purpose for a man. Without creating and creativity, there is no purpose. You will be dormant. You will be trying to find something to satisfy that particular desire that you're looking for as a man. Because inherently, we want to produce, we want to reproduce, we want to have significance, we want to be someone known for something, but it's going to call for work. You're not going to get there without work. So that helps you understand that work was built into the system that we are partaking in. We're partaking in a system that was designed by somebody else. Everything else on this planet was designed by something else. Everything that we use as humans was designed by another human. You know, a lot of people get into this angelic, alien, whatever type of mentality, but everything that we have on this earth was produced by somebody that either produced a machine that produces it or pay people to help them manufacture or produce it. So with that understanding, it only makes sense that if everything else on this planet was created by somebody else to help me, this microphone, this computer, this podcast was designed, the software that I use was designed by somebody else. It was created by somebody else. So if they created it, you got to think, if they are the ones that if they created it, somebody had to create them. Because if everything is created by somebody, somebody had to create the thing that's being created. Just like a machine that produces or makes toys, somebody had the mentality, or a group of people had a mentality to create the thing that is now creating. That's just how this thing works. Everything reproduces after its own kind. That is the way of this planet. You will not have a grapevine that produces oranges. It never will happen. Everything produces after its own kind. That's very important to understand, because it helped me see a lot of the things that my dad and my grandfather, I had to know those guys. I had to get to understand those guys. And I had to say, they are producing this, but there's so much more involved in who they are that they haven't really tapped into. They just went with what they were good at, and that's women. But there's a reason why women like you. It ain't just because of how you are. That may be the main reason, but there's so much more to them that they never developed. They never focused on. They never dug into themselves to find out, what more could I possibly produce in this world other than children. I don't want to be that guy. I don't have no kids. I don't want to just be, my dad has about 13 kids. My grandfather had 16 and counting. So they were just great at producing or reproducing whatever they were. But that put the kids and put the children and the grandkids in a position where now we have to fight off a lot of things that they wasn't aware of, because the scripture says that I will revisit the sins of the father to the children. So the children got to really repay and they have to deal with the things that were left off from the previous generation and so you end up getting further behind if you're just out here producing frivolously without producing within yourself the best person that you could be, and then reproducing the best potential children that you can, and then so forth and so on. Do you teach them how to develop? Because ain't nothing worse, I'm gonna tell you, ain't nothing worse than eating a grape that is not fully developed. Now, we think physically development. We think about physical development. Like, okay, you 18, you can start reproducing at 13 as a man, as a male. But we start thinking that, okay, you're this age physically, so you are able to take care of your responsibility. You are able to have responsibility. You're able to reproduce. But until you produce yourself and then say, I'm ready to give not only physical seed, but spiritual seed as well, that is encompassed in my DNA, that's encompassed in my code, that's encompassed in my sperm. So as I give this to the woman that I have chosen based on the knowledge that I've acquired over the years, and I say, I'm giving you this sperm for you to reproduce using your fertility, not just physical fertility, because women, it's the same thing for women. There is the external, where a woman or female is old enough to produce at like 13 or reproduce at the age of like 13. But then there's a spiritual side. What is my sperm going to be using as nutrition as it develops? Not only what you eat, because that's important too, but also what you think, what you spiritually eat, what you spiritually think about. That also is going to be encompassed in the development of the child that I have developed. The reproductive sperm that I have developed is now going to be released into the woman that is designed also, or has developed or evolved to a certain point. And then we together create something, or a child that has the mentality and have the spiritual awareness initially coming out the womb. They're ready. They're already matured more so than most of the people that are 5 years old, because we've taken the time to develop within ourselves the things that are necessary on a spiritual level and on a natural level. Obviously, we're old enough. We were old enough at 13 to have children, but are we old enough to have children now spiritually? Because if you read through the scriptures, you'll see that the reason when they had children, they named them based on where they were spiritually, not necessarily where they were physically. A lot of the people that named the children where they were physically had not acquired a level of spiritual understanding as people like Moses, Abraham, all these different people that are elevated thinkers or elevated people in the scriptures. They named their children based on where they were spiritually, or certain characteristics that they wanted those children to take after, in the case of Isaac. So anyway, just to kind of reflect, because I'm tying this one up. Man was designed for work. Without the understanding of work and the type of things that you work is the equivalent of what you produce, what you give out. This is important for you women, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to observe the type of work that a man does. But men, you need to observe the type of work and the type of things that you find important, not just your job, but internally. What are you working on? Are you working on getting more women, or are you working on getting better at becoming the best man that you can be? Because it's very important in that regard, with everything I just said throughout this whole podcast. If you don't have the work set up and you don't have your mentality set up on the work portion of you will never understand your purpose. You will never understand your purpose without doing the self work and developing the self and digging into your own soil and understanding the things that make you who you are and how you become what you are. Those are things that are very important. Without understanding those things, then life will be just a continuous circle, a reprobate circle of just the same things over and over again, chasing women over and over again, getting nowhere over and over again, starting all over and over again. You will continuously perpetuate that cycle, because that is also placed into the system that we live in. If you don't understand your purpose, you will be just rotating down here on the bottom of the barrel. So that's been today's episode. It'll help a lot of people. I know it helped me. It helped me understand myself. It helped me understand that I got to do the work. I got to focus on the purpose that I'm here for. I got to work on the self-work, the internal reflection. What am I producing? What am I throwing out there? What's coming back? Because that's telling the story of where I am right now. That's telling the story of where I'll become eventually over time. I'll come into this place eventually. And if that place is not where I'm designed to be, then I am wasting my time here on this planet. And I will not live my life when I get older full of regrets of what I should have, would have, could have done. But people don't regret what they don't know. So you don't know if you're fulfilling your purpose or not. When you get old, you just have to say, okay, well, this is just what it is, and I don't regret nothing. So a lot of people get into that. They say that all the time, I don't regret nothing. But they're in for a rude awakening when they understand that you had so much more potential to do so many other things, but you didn't want to work. You didn't want to work on yourself. You don't want to develop yourself. And podcasts like this, books, everything that is designed by the Most High to give from somebody else's experience, from somebody else's work, a better understanding of the work that you could potentially be doing. So that's today's episode. I wanted to just say, like I said before, you can, we're going to be opening up the website pretty soon to get more, like if you want detailed coaching on how we can work with you and how to develop and how to become a better individual so that you can attract better people. You can attract the best out of your mate. You can attract the best relationship that you already have. You can attract it to the utmost of its potential. In the next episode, I'm going to be getting more into like the purpose of a woman. And then after that, the purpose of a relationship, because these things are very important to today's times and the things that we're going through as humans, and people are just becoming so disgruntled, and relationships are failing at higher rates, and men are just seeking anything that they can to fill that void, and women are just seeking anything they can to fill their voids, and children are all dysfunctional, and they're neglected and abused and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's very important to know this stuff. So definitely let anybody you know listen to this. Tell them to listen to this episode. If you never told them anything, tell them to listen to this episode, because this will probably, I'm hoping it will change their life. It will open their eyes up to a whole new realm that they never thought about. So you guys can get in contact with me right now, as it stands, at least on Instagram. That'll always be there. Facebook at Relationships and Chill, both of those, Relationships and Chill TV. And email contact at relationshipsandchill.com if you want to know more about the coaching things that we'll be offering, and courses and books we'll be offering. Like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, this ain't even nothing. This ain't even like the real stuff that I couldn't really delve into, but this is just enough to get your whistle wet and to help you understand that there are so many different things, so many layers to this life, so many things that we think we got a hold of, but we don't really have a hold of. So stay tuned, you guys. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow on Instagram. Make sure you follow on all the different platforms to have a better understanding of why we're teaching this way, and we're starting to really open up the teaching and the understanding of why things are the way that they are. So this has been Coach R. Anthony, Relationships and Chill. I'll catch you guys on the next go round. Peace and blessings to you all, and let me know what you think in the comments, or let me know what you think via email. You guys take it easy. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Relationships and Chill. For more information on cultivating the relationship of your dreams, please follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Relationships and Chill, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Relationships and Chill TV. You can also visit our website at www.relationshipsandchill.com. Together, let's make relationships great again.